Hello guys, and welcome back to yet another episode of Buzz Behind Sports. On today's episode, we had with us Ms. Ayushi Dhakate, a sports nutritionist. She covered a range of topics, starting from the world of supplements to the importance of nutrition in an athlete's life. Without wasting another second, let's dive right into the podcast. Hello guys, welcome back to yet another episode of Buzz Behind Sports. On today's episode, we have with us Ms. Ayushi Dhakate, who is a well-renowned sports nutritionist for a long time now. Without waiting much longer, I welcome ma'am on the show.
Thank you so much.
Ma'am, before I get into questions, how does it feel to be here with us today?
I think the feeling is amazing because this is my first ever podcast, and doing it for IISM is again a privilege, so I think it's going to be a very good and informative session for the listeners as well.
For sure, ma'am, and it's an honor to have you here with us.
Thank you.
And to start off with the question for the general viewers, who are not very sure of what sports nutrition in specific is, I want to start off by asking you, what is the difference between a normal nutrition and specifically for somebody who's in the sporting arena and somebody who's trying to make it in the sporting industry?
Okay. So to put it really crisp out there, the one thing that I want to put across is nutrition does not change for general people versus sports people. There are definitely differentiators, but the basic nutrition does not change, like eating good food, not eating processed food, not eating outside, not eating oily, etc. So the generic base of nutrition remains the same for general population, that is people who are, say, going to the gym or just sitting at home or going for workplace, etc. When we want to create a differentiator between generic population versus people who are into the sporting world, we pay more emphasis to what the sport demands.
Right.
Okay. So if an athlete is coming to me, what exactly is required by the sport? If, say, a footballer is coming to me, say if a weightlifter is coming to me, say if an athletic person who's coming to me who's a sprinter. So we want to differentiate on this very basic point that there's a sport involved, which is something that is way and above generic population, and generic population is where you deal with majorly things like diseases, clinical conditions, lifestyle problems, diabetes, cardiovascular disorders, etc. So that is what I would want to put across, that that's how we differentiate between a general nutrition and, say, a sports specific nutrition.
Right. This is off the topic here a little bit. For somebody who's not very well versed with nutrition, a lot of people have the misconception that nutrition is bland, nutrition is boring, as in, the stuff that you're supposed to eat, right? It's not really. And for somebody who's, very, passionate about the game as well, but really do want to, also have their, tasty foods. Is there really is that true? Is it allowed, or is it true that you can't really eat, let's say for example a vada pav a day, just because that's not, it's oily and it has a lot of carbohydrates in terms of potato. So is that the truth, or is that something that
so that's according to me. So what it's a myth, I would say. I'll give a reason why. So I'd share something from my experience. So when I give diets to clients, so I have a mix of population, generic, athlete.
Right.
So when generic people come to me, we face a lot of issues like eating outside, binge eating, etc. So what I do with them is, suppose I've given them a meal plan for a week, right? So I expect them to follow that for at least 6 days, and probably reward them with a cheat meal, whatever is required by them, maybe one meal, maybe 2 meals, or whatever it is. So I'm not hindering the process. I'm not, letting them feel ki it's boring. It's just that I'm just, eating something bland. However, there's one more twist to it. Nutrition is not bland.
Right.
If you have the right kind of recipes, if you have the right kind of, amalgamation of ingredients, which are obviously healthy, and along with which you deal with palatable issues of different people. So you can make a combination and have a good healthy meal. You can make a healthy pizza, if I'm not wrong.
Right.
Sure. Yeah. So that's the way it is.
Right.
So,
ma'am, coming back, we spoke about sport and we spoke about how you said there's a little bit of a difference depending on what sport an athlete is into. and your diet plan for that athlete would be very in line with what sport they're into.
Perfect.
So does also other demographics come into play? For example, for an athlete, whether at what age he's playing, or the gender of an athlete for that matter, or any other demographics for that matter. Does that play a huge role in you setting a diet plan and the entire nutrition plan for them?
Definitely. So if we think about demographics in general, somebody like Shubman Gill versus somebody who's MS Dhoni, right? So we'll have a age gap, right? A lot of age gap in the two players. So we would want to look at what kind of metabolism they're at, right? As we age, our metabolism tends to decrease, right? So I would suggest that Shubman Gill, I would probably be giving him a higher calorific diet based on his metabolism, because he's at a lesser age. And whereas if I see MS Dhoni, who's almost reaching 40s, so we have seen change. So metabolism has decreased, so probably cater to that. So yes, with age your nutritional needs change. When we speak about male and female, if we take the women cricket team, say Devika Vaidya and say again Shubman Gill, so I would want to differentiate on the factors that males have a higher metabolism in comparison to females. So I would want to give them more than in comparison to the females. And I would also like to look at some technicalities for females when we speak about hormonals or menstruation, etc. We see a lot of blood loss, we see loss of iron. So we would want to focus on that aspect as well, where we cater to the need of the gender specific needs. So we do see a difference when we speak about gender, demographics. Even young athletes, adolescent athletes, if we speak about, they have growth issues. So growth spurt we have to take into consideration along with the play of the sport. So these are the considerations that you need to take. Seniors, we need to think about bone loss. So somebody like, again, if I say a senior most athlete, somebody like Sunil Gavaskar, so if we speak about that, he will probably need more on the bone health and or a better protein requirement to not let his muscle deteriorate as he ages. So this kind of differentiation you do see in sports nutrition.
So do you assess an individual before you make a diet plan, and if you do, what kind of assessment that goes in, right? I mean, because if at all a professional athlete is coming to you and they probably might have not had the professional help all these years. So how do you assess the impact of what's gone wrong so far, and how do you just put them right into a diet plan, or do you slowly, because they're not used to probably maintaining a certain diet plan. So now that the their profession needs them to, how would you start off certain individuals starting off into a diet plan?
So this works for both generic and the athletic world. The general protocol always is to understand the demographics of a person, like just you said, age, gender, what do they do, so with athletes the questions will be very specific to the sport. What sport do you play? How is your training protocol? How many times do you train in a day? How many times do you train in a week? What are your rest days? What are your training load? When is it maximum? When is your competition next? So the assessment goes and revolves around what is the training load. One, that is very specific, because we want to speak about increasing performance as well. And the second thing is, what are they actually eating right now? That is my concern, because my diet plan will be derived from the fact that what are they eating now? Are they eating vada pav? No, I probably need to change it. Are they eating something like Coca-Cola during their workouts? During workout? No, that is not allowed. So I'm going to change that, right? So that is how it works. So obviously I will take into consideration the basic demographics of an individual, of an athlete, his training load protocol, and what are his current practices, so that I can make the right plan. And believe me, it's very difficult to follow it in the first go, even for athletes and for generic population. It becomes difficult to adhere to, because they're used to a certain kind of eating pattern. So we need to slowly transition into the good eating patterns for them as well.
So you wouldn't generally just jump into it, but gradually put them in. Great. I'm also coming back into the overall picture of sports nutrition. I mean, just specifically taking the Indian cricket team, maybe 5 years or even 10 years before now, the same importance that's been given to sports nutrition wasn't given then, maybe in terms terms of fitness, or maybe in terms of, giving your 100% on the field. They used to work out and they used to be fit, but maybe I would like to bring out the name of Virat Kohli. I think he's honestly changed
his eating
pattern and the way a cricketer seen is fit, right? He's every time he's out there, and even on the field, I'm sure every cricketer gives their 100%, but off the field as well, in terms of him changing his entire diet plan and going vegan for that matter, which has been in the talks for quite a while now.
Yeah.
So the importance of that to start off with, and also is that the right way forward, and is it completely necessary to go on a vegan based diet to be successful, or is it just an option that you can also follow?
So veganism and vegetarianism is, like, I would say, the trending diets right now. Yeah. So there are many other reasons that athletes do follow, even normal population as well. But I believe there's no one-way approach for anything.
Right.
If it's not true that if Virat Kohli does it fits all, it's like not one shoe fits all, right? So I would not say that vegan or vegetarianism is for everyone, but if you follow it and you do see results, then it's probably for you. And obviously it should be under a professional's guidance, because with veganism, vegetarianism, we see a lot of deficiencies in nutrients. So that is what needs to be taken care of. Even if you're going into the process by following, say, Virat Kohli is eating only vegetarian, but he's making sure that he's supplementing the diet right? So he's been, given that guidance from a nutritional professional or some healthcare professional. But others seem to, it's like mentality ki if he does this, usne kar liya to main bhi kar lunga, I'll do the same. But it does not work that way. They'll probably have to, follow, take help, and then switch to such.
Right. So you self-diagnosis is absolutely wrong.
Absolutely wrong. Yeah.
Ma'am, now coming to an athletic performance, people talk about the three important factors that result in better athletic performance. It could be training, nutrition, and recovery. So, in overall, is there one important than the other, or is it like all these three are very important, and the importance of each aspect, if you could shed some light upon it?
So I would say training is on the top.
Right.
Nutrition and recovery are base.
Right.
Okay. If your nutrition and recovery are having a toll, then training is going to go for a toss, right?
Would you also say that these are often looked away from, because a lot of people I've seen personally give 100% in the gym or give 100% on the field, but as soon as on the way back only they eat vada pav or they get a pani puri and they go the way back. So the importance, as maybe for a professional, right, somebody who's making money off of it, I'm sure they will have to have the this thing, but for somebody who's getting into it, how does somebody the importance of mental strength as well, in not just working out for 3 hours in the gym, but the next 21 hours that you're awake, making sure that you're doing proper recovery and training as well. Nutrition as well, if you could shed some light.
So again, if we speak about the current World Cup, you saw, I think, a lot of athletes were having cramps.
Right.
Like, so it's possibly due to, obviously less amount of hydration, less amount of water when they were actually during the competition, or some electrolyte disbalance, which led to, cramping. So what I believe is training will be always, it will be helped with nutrition and recovery. If your nutrition and recovery is right in place, training is going to be optimal. So the base why we speak about sports nutrition is because if I give the right nutrition, he's running at 5 kilometers per hour, but then he'll be able to run at 8 kilometers per hour. Obviously it's a progression. I can't expect him to do that in a week, but I would always say that right kind of nutrition, right? So we believe in giving the right kind of pre-training, during training, and post-training. We cater to that with utmost importance, along with which recovery comes during the rest period of the day. If somebody who's training in the morning, right? So if we speak about the rest of the day, I want him to have his meals on time. I want to have the balance of macronutrients. And also, if the recovery is still not happening, then I would probably add some supplements. So my take would be that they are helping training. And training will automatically be, upscaled.
Right. you spoke about supplements. So we see a lot of people self-diagnosing supplements for themselves. A lot of people who go to the gym in terms of whey protein or other supplements as well. Your views on the matter, as in, is it really healthy and impactful as for somebody who's just getting into the scenario to self-diagnose themselves, or is it important to get an opinion of a certified sports nutritionist?
Okay, so I would like to shed light upon bio-individuality. Even if you take the entire cricket team, or if you talk about different badminton players like Saina Nehwal or PV Sindhu.
Right.
So what I give to PV Sindhu, I may not give to Saina Nehwal. Right. So we speak about bio-individuality, and I think that if PV Sindhu lacks iron, does Saina Nehwal also lack iron in her blood? No, may not be necessary. And if I'm supplementing someone with something, I may or may not do that with the other person.
Right.
So what I'm trying to say is, it's bio-individual. If you are coming to me as an athlete, I would probably assess your profile first. What nutritional deficiencies you have. Are we able to meet it through normal whole food approach? I would probably give 80-85% weightage to food that is eaten, and 15 to 20% of weightage to supplements.
Right.
And nobody is to use supplements or take supplements on the basis of peer pressure or what I call as herd mentality. Online influencers, YouTube videos, etc. Obviously, such people do advocate, supplements and stuff. But what you want to look at is the credibility of the source from where it's coming. I've seen this a lot. I visit a gym, so I've seen this herd mentality. मैं whey protein खाता हूँ. You also start ना.
Right, yeah.
तेरा muscle बढ़ेगा. That is what is the general trend that you see nowadays. So I don't believe in that. You can probably get it through your normal food. Supplements, yes, if required in various different conditions, you should, and also
but
under
who are
professional
these people who would
guidance.
require? When you say it's not required for everybody, can you specifically say who might require supplements, who might not?
So the way to go is for athletes, I believe, supplementation. Suppose if we just take protein, for example, if I'm able to meet it through food, I will do it. But my major chunk or major focus will be on the post-competition or post-training recovery. That is where I'll probably give a whey protein to the athlete, because he needs it there. He needs it fast. He does not need to eat something like chicken or something like, curd or milk. Okay, that is not going to be fast enough. So I'll probably focus on supplements there. Athletes, athletic individuals, people with nutrient deficiencies. Okay, athletes may face calcium deficiencies, vitamin D deficiencies, iron deficiencies. So we speak about supplementing it from outside when food is not meeting the requirements. So that is when we'll come into picture. Senior citizens, those who are not, so the appetite goes down. So you probably see your tatas, ajjis, ajji, azoba, all these people having a lot of supplements when they come to the older age because they're not able to do it. So it caters to mostly generic population. But if I see in my athlete that there are some deficiencies based on obviously his nutritional assessment, blood profile tests, then that is when I will start supplementing.
Right, and a little bit on who shouldn't be taking supplements, as in any certain kind of people that would really not do well with their body.
So athletic individuals, they should stay away from allergy, who are allergic, lactose intolerant people can't take whey protein. They blindly take whey protein as well. You need to assess that as well. You need to think about people who are eating well balanced meals. Why do you need a supplement? Unnecessarily, you are adding on to your expenditure and taking supplements.
I'm talking about the importance of supplements and nutrients. We've seen a certain sports where there are weight categories that are played in. And sometimes I've heard in a few boxing matches where a certain player loses weight just a day before, up to 8 to 9 kgs, which sounds really, really untrue.
Correct.
So how does this go about, and is this really true? Because as somebody who has no clue about how that happens, that really sounds fake to me. So how does that go about?
Yeah, so it may or may not be like one day before the competition, but a few days before the competition. So the idea is for weight category sports like boxing or say wrestling. So you see a lot of weight cut strategies that these athletes apply. The real reason is somebody who's competing say at 60 kg weight category. right? So probably he's weighing 70 kgs in when he's, before the competition.
Right.
So just before, near to competition, he's going to cut down on his weight and reach that benchmark of the weight category that he's going to fit in. And later on, he'll probably make it up by eating the right kind of food. So it's actually getting some advantage to the athlete when he's actually competing in a weight category sport. So if, say, the weight category is 60, but the athlete is actually competing at 65, 66 with this kind of approach. But however, as a nutritionist, I do not advocate such methods.
But how do they go about it though? Like, how do they?
So they go water cut, they go salt cut, they go fiber.
Right.
So this is the kind of trend that they follow. So it's a complete salt cut, water cut. So it kind of, you're losing a lot of water weight.
Right.
So that is how they make sure that the weight has fallen.
Right, which is not healthy in the long term.
Which is not healthy. People have, there are few case studies which have, I don't remember the athletes' names, but they have death stroke, like direct death because of this. So I don't really advocate such methods because they are harsh approaches.
Right.
And you are actually, playing around with your performance as well. So the idea always is start preparing for your weight category way advanced, way before, so that you fall in that weight category and train accordingly.
Right.
So
that's it. Right, ma'am. Coming back to proteins and, macronutrients as well. A lot of talks has been going about, everybody who's gymming or everybody who's in the industry talks about protein. I've seen people, honestly, in my class who eat like 8 egg whites a day, which is honestly, I don't know how they do it. It's really surprising. So is protein really that important, or is it just in a group of other macronutrients as well that you think that people nowadays don't really take that importance?
Okay. So to answer this, I believe that we should understand what the sport demands also.
Right.
If you're coming to the sporting world, somebody who's an endurance athlete, say a marathon runner, somebody like Milind Soman, who runs marathons, right? In comparison to someone who's a weightlifter, or a bodybuilding athlete or a powerlifting athlete, somebody like Mirabai Chanu, right? So the difference lies in the fact that what kind of macronutrients they actually need. Endurance, do they need a lot of bulk and to look bulky? No, they have a lean body mass. They look very lean, okay? And if you see somebody who's into bodybuilding, somebody like Kristen Bumstead, right? They have a lot of muscle mass to grow. So I would probably say people who are into bodybuilding, say power sports, strength sport, I would advocate a little bit of more protein for them. But somebody who's for an endurance athlete, I may or may not recommend as much as required by the power or strength athlete. Is it required by everyone? Yes, it is required by everyone because Indian diets, specifically Indian athletes and Indian generic population are low on protein.
Right.
Our daily staple food that we eat, dal, rice, sabzi, roti, etc., is low on protein. So we would like to include protein, elements to it. However, too much is too bad in any case scenario. So I think protein is important for daily functioning and general functioning of the body, but there should be a benchmark for the activity that you're doing, what kind of sport you're playing. Somebody like a normal gym enthusiast may not require so much, right? Yes. So that is kind of an approach to protein.
Again, it brings up the importance of having a proper sports nutritionist to tell you
what is right.
Right. Talking about this, ma'am, so as you're talking about, there's been great strides we've done in terms of sports nutrition and, kind of specifying which sport needs what kind of nutrition. Sometimes does it, for somebody, for like, in the grassroots level who's trying to make it in the sporting world, doesn't it become a little too difficult because it's a lot of aspects that, to keep up with, and, and what kind of an edge does it give it to somebody, who comes from a better background, who can from an initial stage, try to, get some help, has the advantage of getting some help. So for somebody who's, not that well off, financially, do they really lack in terms of nutrition, or are there any other cost-effective ways that they can stay fit and be?
So you're trying to say somebody who's coming from a grassroots level does not have enough support of a nutrition base, and somebody who's coming, say, from Mumbai versus some small town, right? I think this is the root problem of nutrition not reaching out to everyone. And I believe with the right kind of nutrition, even these grassroots level athletes can have a push.
Right.
So the idea is not to just cater to the, you know, the premium crowd or the premium athletes that come, but also, you know, if the right kind of nutrition is provided to such kind of people, they will also have an, you know, edge, an equivalent edge in the gameplay.
Right. So,
it's very difficult to bridge the gap though, because a lot of nutritionists, you know, stay in the uppercut regions, and not a lot of sports are given equal importance, and not a lot of athletes are given importance, and that's why nutrition does not reach to such levels.
Right. It's funny you should say that, because now talking about nutrition, and just nutrition in general, not sport nutrition, is not something that is being taught even, you know, for example in school syllabus, or something that's not that we've heard in a younger age. But it being a very important factor in, you know, a person's life, be an athlete, not be an athlete. Do you think it's important to educate children at a young age? I know here we sit here and we learn about it in classes, you know, we're there. But is it importance of it to, you know, push it for a younger generation, you know, honestly, to see a more, you know, the reason I bring up this is because we've always seen a lot of talks about including sports in the school curriculum, right? But how important is it with the sport curriculum to have a nutrition curriculum as well, you know, where they understand how their body reacts to, you know, what this thing, and what they need to take in to have the kind of life they want to lead?
So probably having the concept of right and wrong will be more beneficial for children. Something like if to give you a very basic example, is it good to have that? So I, as a kid, always liked to eat the canteen food when I was not aware of things, right? And my mom used to give me some sabzi that I did not like. So probably I should go to the canteen and eat. So giving them the right kind of information will matter. Ki this is right and this is wrong, and this is what you need to choose and why.
Right.
Okay, if you tell them why eating, say, green leafy vegetables is good for you, is going to give you something like we all grew up seeing Popeye eating spinach and getting energy, right? Something similar to that. So maybe associating it with a positive aspect will help the children understand the value of good food versus bad food, and probably they'll have the right kind of choices from and I think it should be included, you know, at the curriculum of school level to increase the awareness
for kids. So we spoke about the importance of sports nutrition at the grassroots level. Now, talking about the future, you know, we have the Olympics lined up in the near future, and we also spoke about how sports nutrition has come a long way compared to maybe 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. So your thoughts on the future of sports nutrition, specifically designed for athletes, for professional athletes to do better in the Olympics, and where do you see sports nutrition as, you know, for even as a career for people who are sitting at home and trying to look at a career in sports nutrition, and, you know, do you think that they have scope with reference to India having a lot of ideas, you know, to expand its sporting industry?
Right. So with the growing sporting industry, and as you mentioned, the 2036 Olympics plan to be in India, we will be requiring a lot of professionals which are you know, sports related, be it management, be it sports science, and be it sports nutritionist as well, because there will be an arena of sports that you have to deal with, and we'll be having certain elements of our Indian athletes coming into play, right? Even they'll be competing. So giving them the right kind of nutrition, I think so many sports to cater to. You'll require equivalent amount of sports nutritionists who will be helping the athletes out in different kind of games. Olympics is a pool of games that you have to deal with. There are different kinds: athletics, there's gymnastics, there is cricket also is going to be included in the Olympics. So I think there's going to be a lot of openings for all the sports nutritionists. What I believe is it's a very good field because it's a growing field. You see a lot of sports nutritionists coming now, and a lot of people coming to the sports nutritionists for asking for help for increasing in performance, especially athletes, because they don't know what to eat, what to do. They probably are following someone on Instagram. They probably are following their friends. They probably are looking up to their coaches and asking them, "Hum kya khaye? What should we eat? What is the right way to go?" So I think sports nutritionists will be able to make the difference, because we believe I believe in, having an individualized approach when we get an athlete and not do a copy paste for them, right? So that is not what we follow. So I think that will create a lot of or get us a lot of medals in Olympics, and it's a good field right now because with the growing sporting awareness in India, with Indian government giving budget raise for the sporting industry, which was clocked at around 3,500 crore for this fiscal year, for the last fiscal year. So I think that is where we are standing, and we will require more sports nutritionists.
Yeah. So with in mind that we would require a lot of sports nutritionists in the future, for somebody who's sitting at home and watching this show, how do you think, let's just say they've just finished their 11th or 12th and they're sitting here, what kind of degree do you think that they should get into? Of course, Bachelor of Sports Sciences comes to mind, but even if they're not able to get into such course, even if for that matter, even if this is something that they are, they're an athlete and they're looking at nutrition as a passion or something that, they just for themselves as well, just to make myself a better athlete. How do they get into, nutrition? How do they educate themselves? For one, in a college, how do they go to college and education to make a profession? And two, as a professional, just for personally, until I'm able to, financially afford a well-renowned sports nutritionist, how do I, just for self-diagnosing myself, I need to at least educate myself on the matter.
Correct.
So how do both these kind of people go about this?
Somebody who's an aspiring from the point of view of 12th standard and ahead, I think a basic degree in nutrition is what they require. That is one prerequisite, or a basic degree in sciences, life sciences, is what is required. Because the base is PCB, that's biology. So on the basis of which you'll be able to probably get into Master of Sports Nutrition. So there we have degrees which is aligned to Master of Sports Nutrition, which is very specific. So a base of nutrition will obviously come in handy because you'll know how to make basic generic diet plans. But when you push them to masters in sports nutrition, and probably they'll be able to cater to the needs of sporting population. So that is a way to go for the people who are in 12th standard and follow. But people who are wanting to learn by themselves and etc., there are a lot of degree certificates, diploma certificates. However, one disclaimer I would like to give, or one point of notice, they can use it for themselves, they can use it for their, in and around, but they can't be consulting someone because they don't have that kind of, knowledge or expertise to do that. So I think such kind of basic diploma degree courses are available in and out in India. Even International Olympics Committee gives its own diploma certificate, which is for 1 year in total. So I think such kind of certificates would help them, but they are not allowed to consult, anyone outside.
Right. Great. So we spoke about how it is, for somebody to get into this industry. Personally, for you, how is this jump into sports nutrition? Is it something that you've always wanted? Because honestly, it is not something that somebody talks about a lot, and it is not something that's been seen even as a career, if I'm honestly. But for you to take up that call and for you to be good at it, how did that whole thing, how did that thought process come into play?
So that's a very interesting question that throws a light upon the fact that I was not keen. I was not firstly oriented to do sports nutrition. I was doing basic sciences first. My bachelor's degree is in a basic science, and my shift was because of my own transformational journey that I had with weight loss and being into the fitness industry. When I got into the fitness industry, I realized that this gap is there. Like I was an athlete myself, so I was part of the girls football team. I was a sprinter myself. I was in shot put. So that kind of led me to change my school of thought that I need to do something into fitness and nutrition. And probably why? Because I see a lot of athletes doing the wrong things. They don't eat the right kind of thing, and that is reflected in their performance, and probably why we're not able to get a lot of medals, or up till now. But now we are pushing limits ahead and ahead, and we're getting more medals. But so that is the transition that I had. It was a self journey that I went to, which led me to coming taking career into sports nutrition.
I'm glad we did. I'm glad you did.
Thank you.
That's and also, so you've come here. You started a journey as being a sports nutrition. I'm sure you saw a lot of clients who came up to you, and and you made specific diet plans for them. So what I want to ask you is, in your experience so far, is there any incident that stands out, in terms of, something, even a funny incident for that matter, or anything that in your career that you feel is something that, is worth sharing?
Surprisingly, it's not an athlete. I had a client who was around 60 years old, if I remember correctly, and the issue was his one limb of the leg was shorter than the other.
Right.
So there was some accident, there was some mishaps that had happened, and he was not allowed to exercise in a general format. Something like if like a normal 60-year-old would come to me, I would tell him that you just go for a walk for 30 minutes, 40 minutes and do the needful. Diet obviously will work in the same way for a 60-year-old, but the challenge lied in the fact that this person would not be able to exercise in the normal format. So I was in a big fix where I told him that I would give you the diet plan, start the diet plan, but exercise, because diet and exercise go hand in hand when you want some results. So he had come for me for weight loss, general weight loss. So I had to go through a bunch of researches, to know how he will, probably get into exercise. So I figured that water-based exercise are best for him.
Right.
And he told me that he knew swimming and basic exercises in water I had recommended to him. So he started that journey, and the weight loss was phenomenal.
Right.
He lost about 15 or 18 kgs in a span of 4 months. And that too, expecting it out of a 60-year-old was, something life-changing for me. And obviously he had the sheer determination to do so. So that is something that is
stuck with you, right?
Yeah.
And you spoke about water exercises. Could you shed more light on what specifically that?
Oh, water-based exercises. So these are for individuals who have some kind of, physical disability or are not able to do general exercises. So water-based gave him, a better hand in it. So something like Aqua Zumba is there, where they do basic
water.
Yeah, they're literally in water, and they do exercises in water, or basic swimming also would work. So I used to ask him to just do high knees in the water and walk in water.
Right.
So walking in water also creates a lot of resistance to the body, and it kind of creates effect of
exercising.
Calorie burn.
Are there other exercises like water-based exercises, one that you mentioned? What are some other aspects, kind of trainings that because this sounds like something that I've not heard before.
Yeah.
But now that you say it out loud, it sounds like something that could be helpful. And so what are other kind of exercises that, probably cater to a specific kind of people, if any?
They're not many.
Right.
I think water is something that has not been practiced so far.
Right.
As such, for generic population, you don't find anything else rather than just, normal. So I think CrossFit, circuit training, all this is very general. This is coming up now.
Right.
And these are modalities more or less of the existing training protocols.
Right.
But water-based exercises, maybe you are adding,
newly, because I don't think that's something that general public has heard. So
they're normal exercises. Something like high knees,
right,
that person was not able to do on this platform in the air. But in water, it was very easy for him because of the buoyancy of the water. Right. So it became easy for him.
So it kind of helps him as well while getting the result.
Yeah.
Right. So great. Yes. So ma'am, we were talking about protein and the importance of protein and stuff. So and you also touched upon the case of Virat Kohli, and just because it works for him doesn't mean it works for everybody. But in a whole, under an umbrella term, if you look at a plant-based protein and an animal-based protein, are there differences, or is it, again, I know it works for certain individuals and it doesn't, but in terms of objectively speaking, is it technically the same, or are there any major differences for a plant-based protein and animal-based protein?
Okay. So yes, ideally speaking, plant-based protein versus animal-based protein, there are slight difference. There are differences are there.
Right.
Animal-based protein is what we call as having the complete amino acid profile. That is what we speak about when we speak about animal-based protein. When you speak about plant-based protein, this is where we are lacking. Like the amino acid profile is not complete when we come from plant-based protein.
Right.
However, we've been eating dal chawal. Did you ever wonder why we always eat dal chawal? No. They have
mom just told me, I've just been eating it.
Yeah, so as Indians, we've always been eating dal chawal, say roti sabzi or roti dal, etc. Whatever. The cereal pulse combination is what we call. They blend well together. Why? There's obviously they taste good, but they have a complete amino acid profile when they come together.
Right.
So speaking about this, even in plant-based protein, when you combine 2 or more sources, you can come to a complete amino acid profile. But something like animal-based protein, eating chicken is sufficient for me, eating fish is sufficient, eating egg or say milk and milk products is sufficient for me. So it's completing my amino acid profile. The second thing that is differentiating in these two is the bioavailability of the protein. So when we speak about animal-based, it's more available to me. My body can absorb it more. But when you speak about plant-based proteins, the level of protein that we're absorbing is very less.
Right.
So that is the kind of differentiator that we have. And when we speak about people who are following vegetarianism or veganism, we speak about deficiencies of iron, we speak about deficiencies of B12. So why is this? Because animals are rich in these sources, and when animal sources of protein are rich, so this kind of deficiencies are often seen when you speak about these two parameters.
So how would somebody who's following a plant-based protein, would they probably use supplements to make up for B12?
We will need to do supplementation so that whatever deficiencies that we've incurred because of this practice, we need to supplement it.
So would that technically mean that if you have a animal-based protein, there is no requirement for a supplement? Would you say that?
Not true.
Right.
Not true. But again, what kind of, how much quantity of animal protein also? Somebody who's eating it every day probably may not require it. But somebody is like once in a week or twice in a week, you'll still see deficiencies based on other parameters as well. Because there is, if I go into the technicality of it, gut absorption issues, etc., a lot of things will come into picture. Right. So, yeah.
It really depends on
an individual. Yeah.
Right. Makes sense. When we're talking about supplements, right, especially whey protein. And, as I was saying, everybody's talking about it. Every person who goes to the gym, and every teenager for that matter, who's just been to the gym for a couple of days, is buying, loads of whey protein. So the importance of whey protein, and is it just whey protein? Because we hear about other supplements as well in terms of creatinine and stuff. So what are the importance of these, and what are the differences between them as well?
So protein is advocated a lot because of its importance in the muscle building ability of the protein itself. Right. So that is why probably it's the most talked about and most used kind of supplement. Yes, whey protein is required, but not all may require it. Again, I would say I would only suggest it, say somebody is going to the gym, I would only suggest it for a post-gym workout, but not throughout the day. That is the kind of recommendation of whey protein that we speak about. Other than whey protein, we do have other supplements that are used by athletes. One could be creatine, as you just mentioned, which is majorly used by weightlifting or say power athletes or sports, strength sport or something. Somebody like Neeraj Chopra would probably need it, right? Then we speak about BCAA, which is like branched chain amino acids, which is used during training to not let fatigue set in, or not feel to have enough recovery with the help of amino acids. Then we speak about caffeine being used a lot as a pre-workout supplement. However, there are still controversies on caffeine being used as pre-workout. Yeah, so people have been using these supplements. Other than that, casein supplements come into picture, which athletes do use. There are recovery supplements that they use, like glutamine. They use nitric oxide boosters. There is arginine. There is citrulline. So these are all the ranges of supplements that the athlete would probably need. Yeah, that's it.
So now there's a lot of names that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Some that I'm hearing for the first time.
Yeah.
So and you spoke about the importance of a person knowing the individuality and choosing the one that's right for them. Just to shed a little light upon what would happen if somebody who's not certainly required to take a certain kind of a protein, and they're kind of supplementing it just based on, as you said, maybe an Instagram influencer or somebody in the gym told them to. So what kind of effects it would have it on their body on the long run and as well immediately?
So the major chunk of this repercussions belong to high protein intake in general. Right. One may or may not require it, but its research suggests that there are a lot of issues with kidney issues which led to high protein, uric acid issues. Right. So you see a lot of people who have come to me from the gym arena, stating that uric acid is on the high and stuff. So you see a lot of things like that because they are not told. It's the use of protein is not in combination with the training that they're doing. Somebody who's just new to the gym is probably eating, say, 3-4 scoops of protein, not required, right? So the idea is that repercussions are there. So advised based intake of protein and other supplements as well is what I would suggest should be done.
I think we ended on the same topic that we started with, the importance of having a sports nutrition, guys. I think what Ms. Ayushi is trying to tell here is that there is literally no second option for having a expert's opinion.
So one more thing I would like to add is I could give a nutritional advice, I could do everything right, but still, if some people who have certain medical conditions or somebody who's not, who's having some medications, etc., right? So I need to take care into the opinion of their healthcare professional, somebody whom they are visiting, like a general physician or a doctor, so that there is no clash of medication and the supplementation, so that they are in sync and the person who's coming to me is not having any issues after.
Right. Makes sense. Ma'am, it's been a great podcast, but I think before we end off, there's one last question that I want to ask you. Talking about supplements, ma'am, you gave a lot of names, a lot of types of supplements. There are a lot of brands as well in the market today. So what kind of research or what kind of a brand should a person use, and how would they go about that thought process of knowing what is right for them?
Okay, a difficult one to address.
Right.
Because there are a lot of brands which are coming up now. If you open your Amazon, you'll see 100 brands behind protein itself. What I would probably suggest is, obviously, again, I would come to the fact that I would know something that is better for, say, muscle building versus what is better for, say, meal replacement of some person or, say, weight gaining of some person. So I would want to look at technicality point of view. I would want to look at the protein carb ratio of the protein, say, just if you're taking an example of protein, what kind of ingredients are they using? Is there a proper disclosure of all the ingredients? Are there a lot of allergens or, sorry, not allergens, a lot of preservatives that are added, fillers that are added? Is there seals of appropriate approvals, say FDA, say FSI? Okay, are there proper licensing done? And specifically, if I speak about athletes, I want to look at dope-free supplements, because doping is something that comes with the athletic world or the sporting world. So dope-free supplements is what I want to look at. Are they using dope-free ingredients in the list? So all these are FDA approval, USP, okay, FSI, that is the Indian standard. So I would want to look at all these seals on my protein jar or the whatever supplements that I'm taking, as well as reviews of the brand, how it is, who's actually using it. Is there enough evidence that this brand is good enough? Maybe be it customer review or just not because some celebrity is endorsing it, I'm going to follow it, right? Just have an entire review system of the brand itself and then recommend it.
Right. And this again brings us to the importance of having a sports nutritionist. And it's great, ma'am, a lot of technical questions that you've answered. But to end off, it's a very non-technical question about your experience here at IISM. Any words about it?
I think it's been amazing. The main part is that whatever I have learned, I'm able to impart it to my students, those who are learning from me, be it sports nutrition. So I'm able to help them be better at it so that they understand the sense of the subject that I'm teaching them. So I think it's been amazing with the students, with the team itself, and I think I'm getting to learn a lot. This is my first podcast, and it'll always be a part of my memory that my podcast was
with IISM.
With IISM, yes.
Ma'am, it's been great having you here. I think I'm sure a lot of our viewers, people who are wanted to get to sports nutrition, as well as somebody who's just, just a general public, was also important to know about the importance of nutrition. Great to have you on the show, ma'am. It's been a great last few minutes, and thank you.
Thank you so much.